get fed up and get lots of good food? Good. All right, for anyone that doesn't know, my name's Draper. I'm Sean's brother, the groom's brother. And I'm going to say a few words, but first we want to do a toast to the bride and the groom in the new union. So I think he's all have some wine. There's a few empty bottles already. Let's put up our glasses and have a... I'm going to make some too. Can't toast with a toast. All right, everybody, let's put up our glasses and give a toast to Sean and Christine and to many years of happiness.
Cheers.
Okay, that's a plate again.
I got a speech to do here. I'm not going to go right by it. I'm going to wing it a little bit and have a little bit of fun. So Sean and Christine asked me to be the MC of the wedding. You know, obviously my first thought was, you know, why not the best man? Rocky's obviously the better man anyway. And he fits.
Better man when I got the best man.
Yeah. He fits in nice clothes better than I do too, so that also helps. All right. So are you guys having a good time? I see lots of wine going down, not a lot of noise. Good. All right. So obviously when, you know, I know some people here know me and know how I am, but when they asked me to be the MC, I kind of thought when I'm like, really? You're going to give me like a captive audience? A bottle of wine and let me burn you in front of all your family and friends? I'm like, all right. So then my last thought was like, right on. Let him have it, right? All right, but in all honesty, I am honored and privileged to be able to carry out this duty today, and I want to thank Sean and Christine for that. It means a lot to me that I can burn them in public. So, and like I said, now that I have a microphone and a captive audience, let's talk about Sean for a minute first, since I know him the best, right? He's a pretty nice guy, Sean. He's pretty honorable, right? He's a hard-working guy, for sure. Very dedicated to his family and his friends. And he's a pretty good significant other, right? Yeah. He's not a big boozer, and you know, he doesn't run anymore. He doesn't run the roads and act like a dummy all the time. Pretty mild, right? But believe it or not, there was a time when Sean wasn't so domesticated, not quite as tame, right? And yeah, I do have the stories to prove it. Absolutely. Yeah, well the problem is, the stories that I have about him, they're kind of like an iceberg, right? The amount of stories that are, you know, kind of family friendly and crowd friendly, they're just like the tip. Like just, you know, the best of the ones. The really good ones, you have to kind of hit them up one-on-one for those. But, and plus another thing, I have to crash with him for a few more days before I fly back home, so I don't want to make him too mad at me. But
Got a couple of doghouses there.
yeah, there's a doghouse there, don't even worry. But one comes to mind right off the bat. I won't go into too many details on it, but it involved a big party, a lot of booze, and an electric fly swatter. And I want everyone here to ask him what he was doing with the electric fly swatter. That's like a good activity, or like the dance, or like, you know, post meal or whatever. You guys can ask him about the fly swatter stories. It's a good one. Yeah. All right. Oh yeah, and another thing, I hope this doesn't happen tonight, but he's kind of tame, I hope it doesn't, but he always had this affinity for like being like half naked in like a crowd of people, just like randomly, if he's sitting there and you turn around like, oh, there's like an extremity. That's weird. But he's calm down. I don't think he's really worried about that. And I don't want to dog on him all night. I don't want everyone to think, you know, I'm going to tell stories all night, it's going to shine him in the poor light, because he's done a good thing or two. Yeah, he has. He made one of the local newspapers one time for a heroic deed. He he saved one of our friends from drowning in a golf course. We were at the Dogtown Golf Course years ago in early spring, and the water traps were all melting off. And one of our friends ended up out on the ice and fell through. So Sean got out on his belly, which has always been a good asset to him, and he crawled out and he rescued the guy from the ice. And he made what they call back home the Miramichi leader for this one. They, wrote this story up and everything, said who his parents were and all that stuff.
Tell them who the parents were.
Yeah, and they got the parents wrong. Of course, the one time he makes the paper, they name my uncle for his father and something, and we don't even know for his mother. But the best part, what the newspaper failed to miss out on was when this all took place, Sean had been kind of giving the guy a hard time and rousing him around and roughing him up a bit, teasing him or whatever. And he had taken the guy's coat and thrown it out on the ice and forced the guy to go and get his coat. Dust falling through the ice, allowing him to make like his heroic debut, right?
It's a setup.
But the newspaper didn't pick up on that, so he got the credit for it. And two really good things Sean's done or been involved in. Probably the best things are Shayla and Jackson. Good kids. I know them as karma and payback. Totally. Right? I keep hearing Dad's voice echoing in the past. Sean would be driving nuts, and I'd be, of course, like innocently bystanding, watching all this stuff go down, right? And Dad would always say, I hope you guys have kids that torment you as bad as I do, you little imp. And they're amazing kids, and I wish Dad was around here to see them and enjoy them. I love them to death, and I know he would. They know me affectionately as Uncle Pillow. And you can probably guess who coerced them to call me Uncle Pillow. I'm calling from down New Brunswick, and I hear Jackson in the background. Uncle Pillow! Uncle Pillow! What's he calling me? Oh yeah, your name's Uncle Pillow, by the way. No, it's good. They're good kids, though. And something else that Sean has done and continues to do is to be a good stepdad to Kyle and Clayton. Oh yeah, right. He treats them like they're his own. It's easy to see because when they get mad, that's when like the family talk comes out, right? That's when you can really tell when people are accepting each other as family. When Sean and Christine tell Kyle and Clayton they're not allowed to do something that they want to do. And then when the hollering starts, that's when you can tell people are family, the way they yell at each other, right? But Sean would always tell me about Clayton before I moved out here, how much Clayton reminded him of me. He was always saying that. He's like, man, he reminds me of you sometimes, blah, blah, blah. And, that's one thing he was right about. When I moved out here a little over a year ago for a while, I first met Clayton, and I immediately noticed how intelligent he is, charming, good looking. For once, Sean actually was spot on that one. But I think the world of my little brother. We grew up very close. We're in a really small town. Hardly any people, as anyone from here knows where we're from, what it's like. Had the same circle of friends. But when you're that close to a brother, or that close of an age to a brother, there's bound to be fights, right? Like lots of fist fights. Lots of fist fights. Trust me, it was bad. But there were never any grudges, and they always started quickly and were forgotten even quicker, right? We never held it against each other. One night we were in a big brawl at a party, going out and beating the heads off each other, and some guy walks by the beer and says, "Oh, look at those two idiots fighting." We just jumped up and tackled the guy that walked by making fun of us, right? By the time we beat him up, we forgot what we were fighting about. And I don't want to pick on Sean all night either, It's easy, right? It's easy to do. I could go on, I could keep everyone here till 2 in the morning just telling bad stories about him. And besides, I see Christine over there, so beautiful in her wedding dress, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't she look good? And she's thinking how lucky she is that I don't have dirt on her like I do Sean, right? It's true, I've only known her for a couple of years. That being said, though, I feel that we do know each other pretty well, and I truly do think the world of her. Personally, though, besides myself, from my experience, besides this, time she just flipped out at me for no reason, because one time I left my Tim Hortons coffee cup on the cupboard, and she just loses it and tears my head off. And then a few days later I come over, and you know, I don't recycle. I took the cover off the garbage can, throw my pop can in the garbage, and I look over and she's just like burning a hole through me. She just loses it over a pop can, right? And I did ask Christine's family for dirt on her, like good stories. And I'm telling you, like, they're pretty tight-lipped. I did get some stories. And I'll give kudos to them. I messaged Heather and Rick. I told them, I said, yeah, I'm doing a speech. I said, as much good stories I get Christine, embarrassing stories, I said, I'd like to have them, but not a word. Not a word back. So obviously Christine has more dirt on Rick and Heather than Rick and Heather have on her, right? But I have one story in particular. I have a couple. I have one story in particular that, now this will give reason as to how she's been able to put up with Sean all this time. This will all come together. She was, I don't know how many years ago, it was quite a while ago, but she was bathing her horse, Savaro, one summer day, and the horse got spooked, probably from like his shadow or whatever. So he jumped on her leg and broke it. Rick takes her to the hospital, get her a cast, I assume, probably, right? Takes her to the hospital. But that night, they had riding lessons. And she was determined that she was still going to her riding lessons. So they packed up the horses, and when they arrived, Mindy jumped out of the passenger seat and closed the door